Am I the asshole for not getting a tattoo removal procedure to remove my child's dead name from my body?
I'm interested.
Hi everyone, I'm 36 female and I have 2 daughters, one of which came out as trans a year ago. Let's call them Maria, 17, and Anna, 15, my trans child. I would like to start by saying that when Anna came out, I had no problems so long as her transition didn't come in the way of school or grades. The problem, however, is I have Anna's dead name tattooed on my body. I have had the tattoo since she was a toddler. It's pretty visible as it's on my neck, and every time Anna sees it, she gets visibly upset. She's told me she's looked into tattoo removal surgery and recommended that I get it removed or covered with her new name. While I do have the money for it, I do not think it's something I want to deal with. After all, it is just a tattoo, and I don't think I should have to get it removed to show my love and dedication for this new identity. Anna, however, has accused me of not taking her seriously, and that if I truly loved or cared, I'd get it removed. I do understand getting the tattoo removed or covered would show dedication, but I truly do not see it as necessary. I think she's being absolutely ridiculous, pushing the idea. I'm an adult after all, and can make decisions about my own body, just as she can. This issue has put a strain on our relationship, and now she barely looks at me these days. Am I the asshole?
It sounds like straight off the bat, like obviously this is very, very personal to Anna, and it's just she's coming to you and expressing like something that you did like years ago obviously meant something totally different to me now, and it's hurtful. So I do think that's a tough situation where it's just like, yeah, I have this tattoo with your dead name. It's like, can it just be fine? Can we just call it a day? But it's kind of like a reminder of something that she does not align with. I think that can be really hurtful at the end of the day.
I could see it. Even though it's, yeah, you were, a toddler when your mom or dad or whoever got this tattoo done, you still have to see it every day. It's really tough because like the parent trying to be like, it's my body. I should be able to do what I want with my body. But at the same time, this like version of Anna doesn't exist. Like that is a dead name, like literally dead name. Like,
yeah.
So to continue to like almost use it or bring it up, even though it's like, it's just on you. So it happens.
Staring Anna in the face every day, probably.
Literally.
And it's a reminder of like who she does not align with at all anymore. So it's just kind of like staring her in the face. And she's probably just like, I don't want to look at this anymore. I don't agree with the whole, like, you don't love me as much as you say you do, or accept me if you don't get this done. I think that might just be like coming from a place of like hurt and like feeling like maybe genuinely feeling that way. But I don't want the parent to be like manipulated and getting it removed. But if it's like really not going to cost you much and you would be willing to do it, like I personally would just be like, okay, yes, like she's gone. We're getting this tattoo off. If I already have a tattoo on my neck, I imagine I have more. I can find something to cover it with.
Is it going to be painful? Yeah, but like that's kind of the risk you took, putting someone's name on you.
Yeah.
It's no different than like someone tattooing their boyfriend's name across their forehead. What happens if you break up?
Right. And if it's weighing that heavy on my child to like have them have to look at a tattoo that they don't want to see anymore, I'd be like, okay, like if this means a lot to you, I will get it taken off. I will cover it up. I don't want you to feel that way. And I'm not covering it because you're threatening me. I'm covering it because I hate that it's hurting you this much.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, is hurting my child worth not changing it or not attempting to remove it?
Am I wrong for begging my daughter not to have any more children? I, 58 female, and my husband Rob, 61 male, have 2 kids. Erica, 35 female, and Mike, 30 male. Both kids are married, but Erica and her husband Steve, 38 male, live nearby to us, and this issue concerns them. They work full-time and have 2 kids, 5 male and 4 female. 5 years ago, my daughter asked my husband and I if we would be willing to become their full-time childcare so she could continue to work and afford their comfortable life. We agreed, but we didn't discuss much more than watching the baby and their expectations. I was a teacher and retired 2 years before I could take my pension, so my husband continued to work, and we made a few sacrifices like vacations and adding to our savings, but we were able to make it work so I could take my full pension at 55 and my husband retired a year later. Our arrangement worked and we enjoyed having the kids, except by year 3. During the lockdown, they were both working from home. They expected us to keep the kids all day, and we wanted to split time each week since their preschool and daycare was closed. We settled on 2 days with them and 3 days with us, and my son-in-law complained about it pretty much every day. Things got better when the kids were able to go to school. Fast forward to year 4, we have a bit of a blow-up over kindergarten. My daughter did not want her 5-year-old to start school in the unknown, but I insisted that he needed to go because I needed the break. I also asked for their 4-year-old daughter to spend more time at preschool and daycare programs. Son-in-law complained about the cost, but I pushed anyway. They relented relented, and then this past spring, son-in-law pushed for us to take the kids for a week so that they could go on a vacation. We said that they had to take the kids, and he said they couldn't afford it. No one went on vacation. Maybe that was too much background, but I felt like the context is important for what I said. My daughter and I were casually having a conversation the other day, and she mentioned she had an OBGYN appointment and tests. I asked if everything was okay, and she said Steve and her were expecting for baby number 3. I asked her what her childcare plan was, and she looked at me like I was crazy and said, us. I said that it would have been nice if she told me this before trying for another baby. She said it is none of my business. I said it is if I'm providing 5 more years of babysitting. I then told her that we were not viable childcare options for a new baby and begged for her to reconsider. Her daughter is going off to kindergarten next year, and we will feel like we are getting our days back to some extent and refuse to start all over again with an infant. Erica said that we were making her choose between her dream of 3 kids and financial stability. I argued that she has 2 beautiful children and they were financially stable, and they shouldn't ruin that with another baby. I might be the asshole because Erica feels like we should have told her sooner. I feel like I am not because I never agreed to a lifetime of raising their kids. I don't understand parents like this, right? If someone's watching your kid, like, you gotta be so appreciative. My 13-year-old son got punched by his girlfriend's dad. My son is only 13. He has a girlfriend who he met at school. Today he went over at her house. I've met and talked to her mom, but not her father. My son texted me asking me to pick him up. It was earlier than I expected. I went to get him and I was horrified to find him with a bloody nose. My son refused to tell me what happened until we were home. I was cleaning his face and he told me, very hesitantly, what happened. He said that his girlfriend's parents told her to keep her door opened. He said she closed it anyway because, He said her dad stormed in, grabbed him and punched him in the face and yelled at him to never disrespect his house or his daughter again. I told my son that is not okay and that he's never ever going there again. I'm so upset. I can hear my heart beating. There was no reason for this man to attack my son, a child. I texted the mother and she said she's so sorry and embarrassed. I called my husband and sent him a picture of our son's face. I was crying and told him what happened to our son. My husband said, I get it, but he has no right to lay hands on my boy. I'll go over there and see if he's as tough with me as he was with our kid. I asked my husband if that's the best idea. I just don't want any trouble. He said, of course it is. It's my job to defend my family. He told me to calm down and to let him handle it from here. This is a nightmare as a mother. My son is a little boy and was their guest. Police? Police report this man can go to jail. That is assault on a minor. Why are you... Police? Am I wrong for saying my wife will have to quit her job if we get booted from another daycare? My wife and I have a 3-year-old daughter, Alexis. Both of us work and Alexis has attended daycare since she was 1. In the 2 years since, we have been asked to leave 2 programs because my wife is a micromanager. I admit both of us went into the first program not really understanding daycare. I quickly learned that they can't provide personalized care, and after learning from her teachers, I reset my expectations. My wife, however, has a lot of anxiety and worries about her daughter. She hates when she even gets a little upset. She's in therapy and is working on it. First program, my wife would constantly watch the live feed and call the daycare multiple times a day. We had several talks about it, and the school talked to us twice. My wife ended up screaming at one of the teachers and then the director. We were terminated immediately. The second daycare was a little better because my wife began therapy. But my wife was still so nervous and had a complaint every single day. These were not important things. Small things like how she saw another child took away a toy from Alexis and she would cry. The teacher would give the toy back to Alexis, but my wife didn't understand why the other child wasn't punished for it. This daycare didn't kick us out, but did eventually suggest that this may not be the best program for us. My wife and I decided to pull Alexis out. My wife, because of her anxiety, myself, because I knew my wife had burned bridges and was becoming one of those moms. We chose a smaller home daycare this time as we couldn't afford another center. The woman who owns it is very nice but also firm. She stands by her boundaries and won't let my wife break any rules, whereas the centers were definitely more accommodating. My wife would take any inch she got. This time she doesn't get that opportunity. I thought all was well as the owner only speaks to my wife for the most part. Then I get put in a group text saying my wife has been bombarding the owner with text every day, despite the owner saying she will text her at lunch when things are settled. She said at this point she'll only be responding at specific times of the day and not looking the rest. The owner then sent several pages of the contract with passages highlighted reminding us of certain policies my wife has violated. I was pissed. When Alexis went to bed that night, my wife and I talked. I said this was our last option for daycare. The other centers are too expensive and this was the only home daycare in the area that we like. A nanny is not in our budget. My wife made a million excuses, including that it's not her fault that she's anxious. I said if we are asked to leave this program too, my wife will be the one quitting her job to watch Alexis, not me. This upset my wife. I pointed out I've spoken to her kindly about this plenty of times. I encouraged her to keep up her therapy, but she can't keep getting us kicked out of programs. My wife is now not speaking to me. So, am I the asshole?